Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to be shooting the Steyr AUG from different prone supported and unsupported positions. And we're also going to be testing out 2 viewer requested self-defense loads here on the Tennessee Rifleman. Based on the results of my last video, I had several viewer comments concerning 2 subjects. The first being, is Australian Outback 69 grain loading of the Sierra MatchKing actually that accurate and consistent? And 2, if I'm resting the forward accessory rail of my AUG on a sandbag, is that going to cause some shift in the point of aim and point of impact, as well as the overall accuracy that we can expect out of shooting this rifle? I don't know the answers to either, but we're going to find out today. Before we get into testing separate positions and determining the accuracy as well as the shift in point of impact, I need to zero my Night Force optic here to the Australian Outback 69 grain loading of the Sierra MatchKing. I'm going to go ahead and shoot that off camera and show you the results. All right, we're down at the target for the first 5-round group of the day, and you can see where it lands. The greatest spread from here to here gives us exactly 1.44 inches, which is certainly fairly consistent with the performance I've seen so far. Previously, we got 1.11, but I've also shot a 10-round group of this stuff several months ago and been able to get about a 1.4, 1.45 inches overall at 100 yards. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is take some measurements down here, go back to my rifle, zero in the optic, and I'm gonna shoot another 5-round group to confirm that we're zero and take a measurement there. All right, so I've made all the adjustments required to my zero, and I'm gonna go ahead and shoot the first 5-round group from my normal shooting position. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, what I'm doing is I've got a sandbag up front. I'm resting the Steyr AUG by the forward accessory rail with the forward hand grip providing a backstop so it can't go forward. I'm also using a small sandbag in the rear at the bottom of the buttstock to make sure that I'm able to get it nice and steady with my support hand here to make sure that I'm able to stay on target and get a good natural point of aim. I'm gonna go ahead and fire off 5 rounds and we'll see what the results are overall. So at this time shooting, our group opened up a little bit, giving us 2.1 inches from here to here. With that being said, I'm reasonably satisfied that I can consider this rifle zeroed overall to our point of aim right there in the center. Now I'm going to do 2 measurements. One is going to be the total size of the group from different positions, and the other is going to be the total distance from the center to really see if there's any major shift in our point of aim versus our point of impact, as well as our total accuracy from shooting from different positions. In this case, from here to here is 2.1 inches for both our largest spread as well as the distance from center. All right, this next position I'm gonna shoot from is very similar to the one that we previously did. The difference is that I've removed the rear sandbag from the back of the AUG's buttstock, and I'm instead going to be supporting it with my support hand. Let's see how this does. Looking at the third 5-round group of the day, we've got an extreme spread of 1.5 inches, and they're actually both the same from these 2 positions. And the largest deviation from the center was 1.5 inches. The next position we're going to be shooting from is something I got from watching 9 Holes Review's video of their practical accuracy of the Steyr AUG. You can go ahead and click the card above to see that video for yourself. What I'm doing here is I'm taking my support hand and I'm grabbing on the cutlass grip here at the front while continuing to rest the forward accessory rail on our shooting bag here. Now another thing that's interesting is checking my magazine here. There is a small gouge on the primers of one of the rounds. It's going to be the second one that we fire. So I am interested on how this is going to impact accuracy, if at all. Let's go ahead and try this position out. While I certainly felt the most unstable shooting from that position compared to the others, the results certainly tell an entirely different story. We've got a total spread at the extreme of 0.96 inches, which is quite impressive, and frankly, that's the best that I have ever shot the AUG. As far as deviation from the center, from here to here, there is 1.1 inches, though that could be more shooter error rather than the force on the actual forward accessory rail. For this next shooting position, we're ditching the shooting bag and we're putting on an Atlas bipod. What I hope to do with this is really lean forward into the bipod and try to load it and put as much pressure as I possibly can on the forward accessory rail. This should, in theory, give us a decent shift in point of aim and point of impact, and it may impact accuracy as well. Let's see how this position shoots. Here are the results from shooting from a bipod. The largest spread was 2.6 inches from here to here, with the distance from center being 2 inches for the furthest off round. Now, these rounds do appear to be a lot lower than my other rounds that I've shot so far. I will say that I was breathing fairly heavily while firing. It's quite hot out here and my heart's definitely racing. So that could be a factor as opposed to it being the barrel. The final position that we're going to be testing today is the prone unsupported. What I'm doing for this one is I'm resting the Steyr AUG on the magazine itself as a sort of makeshift monopod. I'm also using my support hand and placing that under the forward grip in order to help balance it and be able to fire rounds on target. Now, already from just trying this feels the most unstable, so I expect that I'll have the least amount of accuracy with this stance. But we'll test it out and see how we actually do. Here are the results. We've got a spread of 1.5 inches at the extremes here, and we've also got a total deviation of 3 inches from the point of aim. Now, bear in mind, this was me shooting from the prone unsupported position, so it's likely just as much the shooter that you're seeing in this equation as any pressure on the barrel of the AUG. Before we head for home and tally up all of the results of today's shooting, I've got 2 requests by some viewers for some ammunition they wanted tested. The first is Federal Premium's Tactical Rifle Urban, or TRU rounds. These are 64 grain Hydroshocks. I'll go ahead and give you a closer view of there. As you can see, those are soft point rounds, and they've also got the marking on the bottom in a bluish color so that you're able to easily identify your rounds. I'm going to be testing today just for the accuracy and not how these perform as self-defense rounds. If you want more information about how they perform in a self-defense capacity, I have a link in the description below this video that you can check out and see for yourself. Despite the wind that we've got going on out here, the Federal 64 grain TRU rounds performed pretty good. From the most extreme spread being here to here, we have a distance of 2.1 inches. The final round for testing today is Speer's Gold Dot 75 grain soft point ammunition. Now, just looking at the rounds themselves, they definitely look more refined and certainly prettier than Federal's 64 grain TRU. But we're going to go and shoot these and see how they perform as far as accuracy. An interesting point that a viewer brought up is that the 75 grain loading here is specifically designed for them to stabilize in 1 9 twist barrels. I'm not going to put that specifically to the test today, but if that's true, that's certainly an interesting option for being able to shoot a heavier grain bullet out of a 1 9 twist barrel. The 75 grain Steyr Gold Dot certainly gave off an impressive performance. With the extreme spread from here to here, you have a separation of 1.35 inches. Interestingly, these seem to be generally in line with the zero for the 69 grain Sierra MatchKings out of Australian Outback's loading. I would feel fairly comfortable using these for a home defense load as is. I'm back home and I've got the results calculated. The conditions that I shot in consisted of an average temperature of 106 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind speeds varying from 12 to an extreme of 26 miles per hour, blowing in a north by northwest direction. This was during the 3 hours that I spent shooting. These conditions certainly weren't optimal, but unfortunately, you don't always get to pick what the weather's going to do when you have to shoot. Based on the results, we now have a better idea of the expected performance from the Australian Outback 69 grain Sierra MatchKings based on shooting 7 total 5-shot groups. The best performance was 0.96 inches from the 9-hole reviews position, with the worst being 2.6 inches from shooting with a bipod. I felt like the 9-hole review position was the most unstable of all the positions from shooting off of a shooting bag, but the follow-up shots, to me anyway, seem to be a bit quicker. This is the first time I've shot from this position, so more testing is required to determine if it is inherently more accurate. I'm the least experienced with shooting off a bipod with the AUG. It is a position that I don't practice often, and I found that the biggest issue was with controlling elevation. I could actually see the rifle moving slightly in time with my heartbeat, which was elevated due to the heat. It is likely that using a rear shooting bag under the buttstock would have made this a more accurate position. Regardless, based on these results, you can expect the Australian Outback to give an average performance of about 1.6 minutes of angle, or if you exclude shooting off a bipod, 1.44 minutes of angle. This performance certainly exceeds my expectation for the level of accuracy that I can expect from my AUG. Shooting from different positions yielded very little notable deviation in accuracy. The largest two deviations of 2.1 and 2.6 inches I blame more on my ability to shoot than any impact from pressure on the forward accessory rail. There was, however, a definite shift from my point of aim to my point of impact. Now, before I go and blame this all on the barrel not being free-floating, there are numerous factors to consider, such as my ability to shoot from each position, the changes in height of the barrel, and the optic from each position, and also even where pressure is applied in the different positions to the rifle itself. I posted an article in the description entitled "The Shifting Zero" that is worth a read, but the question is, does the shift in point of aim and point of impact actually matter? The answer really depends on the shooter and what you're trying to achieve. In this case, I would be able to hit a 9-inch target at 300 yards from any of the positions, assuming all variables remained equal to when I shot. Consistency is key to accuracy, and what I recommend is to zero from the position that you plan to shoot from most often. Both self-defense rounds that we tested performed quite well as far as accuracy. The Federal TRU 64 grain equaled the extreme spread of the Federal Premium 69 grain Sierra MatchKings. The Steyr 75 grain Gold Dot certainly exceeded my expectations. I made the comment that I would feel comfortable using them as is for a home defense choice. While I certainly advocate zeroing to the round that you plan on shooting from your rifle, I know that this doesn't always happen based on differences in ballistics and price between training and self-defense ammo. What I can say is that the Steyr Gold Dots performed in a similar manner to the Australian Outback in regards to both windage and accuracy, with a notable drop of about 2.5 inches at 100 yards. However, at 25 yards, this drop would only be 0.6 inches, and the furthest shot that I would possibly take in my home is 15 yards. I would feel very comfortable using this round if I had to. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed these tests as much as I enjoyed doing them. If you've got questions or suggestions, go ahead and leave a comment below. I'll see you next time.